Hello and welcome to the Mindfully Gay podcast. I am Jerry.
And I'm John.
And we're excited to come to you today. We've been playing around with some topics and ideas for today.
Yeah.
And we decided world domination would be important.
I think we should talk about that now.
So we want to talk about the gay agenda.
Yes.
And, so please do not share this with straight people or those outside of the gay world because the agenda is important to us.
It is. I like that.
This is top secret conversation.
It really is. Which makes me think, because when I first kind of heard about the gay agenda, which we'll get into in a moment, it was in some ways it was kind of comedic, that it was some kind of deep dark secret that the gays held, right?
I felt like I didn't get the schedule,
right? Because there'll be comments like this, like, "Did you get the agenda? Did you get the memo?
Like, who is in charge?
Who is in charge?" Maybe we're in charge. So we're going to talk about the gay agenda, what it is or presumed to be, what we think it might be, and maybe put a little bit of a mindfully gay spin on it, and claim it as something that is actually useful in our community.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting is I don't believe the topic of the gay agenda, as it's been flown out in modern media and politics.
Right.
I don't think that came from gay people.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it was like a scare tactic, or one more way to fear your gay neighbors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And but today in 2026. We are going to outline the gay agenda, own it, and make it our own.
Send us your email address, and we will be sure to send it to you.
It's a PDF, so you can't change it. So, how do we want to get into this?
Well, when did you first hear about gay agenda, or that term, and what did it mean to you when you first were aware of it?
Well, I think I became aware of it like in the 90s and early 2000s. Okay. I was very active in legislative and political processes and often dealing with adversarial voices. And so I started to hear it as like the backdrop of some agenda that we were imposing on society to take over children, to indoctrinate children, to somehow make the world more gay. But it came from very conservative sources.
Yeah.
And frankly, here in Utah, I was hearing those sources coming from religious places and politicians that I was dealing with.
Right.
And then it seemed like at some point, the media started to own that or amplify that voice.
Yeah, in that term, right? Yeah. I was trying to think, like, when did I first hear it? And I think same with me. It was probably in the 90s at some point, and it seemed like it was kind of there was a political bent, certainly a religious bent, where it was kind of being thrown out there as a response to. I think what comes to mind is like gay marriage. Comes to mind as one of those kind of political hot topics, even before we got it, but there was still a lot of talk about it, and like adoption, and just, I don't know, maybe around the notion of gay people just kind of being normal folks in society, getting married, having children, buying homes in the suburbs, and going on vacation and things like that, but people were feeling threatened by that, and saying that there's some kind of agenda, like they're infiltrating our neighborhoods and our schools and our churches, and I think they're out to get us.
Well, do you know, I suddenly just like had a flashback.
Oh wow.
Do you remember Anita Bryant?
Yes. Oh, yes.
The orange juice woman. So Anita Bryant at one point was like Miss America or something, and everyone's sweetheart, and then she got political.
Very political, very conservative.
And I'm thinking this is like in the 70s.
Yeah.
Maybe even the 80s.
Yeah, early
but
80s.
I remember as a kid, like her anti-gay rhetoric.
Yes.
But I believe she kind of pushed that idea of the gay agenda.
You might be right.
Because that was her whole platform.
Right.
Is that we were preying, her platform or her persuasion was we were preying on the children.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to create our own army and take things over.
Oh my gosh.
And she was singing God Bless America.
Just hearing it just sounds so ridiculous.
She's passed away.
Has she?
Bye.
Bless her heart.
I'm thinking Anita Bryant.
Yeah.
Here in Utah, we had Chris Butters.
Oh my gosh.
Remember Chris Butters? He was a local politician that served in our state legislature.
Wow.
And he couldn't exist without promoting his anxieties and his hatred towards gay people.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see where we're going with this. It was certainly something that, the gay community was not saying. We didn't use this term. It didn't come from us. It was coming from a set of folks that were, like I said, somehow intimidated by and felt threatened by our existence, and use their platforms, whatever it may be, in politics, in the pulpit, to preach to the people that we were wrong and should not exist, and to squash all of our dreams and ambitions.
Right.
And so, in a sad way, it became part of our narrative.
Well, and I think the appropriate reframe, and I'm going to put this in some context, I think the appropriate reframe is really, what is the white male cisgendered agenda?
Yeah.
Because if you think about the women's movement, if you think about the civil rights movement, when you think of, whenever we have dealt with those outside of the white male cisgendered sphere of things, whenever there's an opportunity to express equality to women or people of color or native people, whatever, right? There's this angst and anxiety that somehow, as the white cisgender male, we're losing something. And so what we have to do is, label you as lazy or criminal or too ignorant or whatever. We have to kind of disparage you in some way to discredit your viability.
Yeah.
So yeah, that concept of the gay agenda, I don't think has ever really been ours until today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have an agenda.
Exactly. I think you're right. We've reclaimed a lot of words and terms over the years and decades, and I think this is one that we could certainly reclaim. I think it's an appropriate time and place to set an agenda.
Yeah.
Like, what are we collaboratively going to do to uplift ourselves and to move forward as a community in this dichotomous world we're in right now?
Well, it's kind of like what we've done with the word queer.
Exactly.
Right? Growing up, the word queer was words for battle.
Yeah.
And at some point in our evolution, we own that word. And now it's almost become the word within the community.
Yeah. I think gay agenda can also be seen in a different way before we kind of get to what's our spin, the mindfully gay spin. But this makes me think about just myself as this young brown kid in Oakland, growing up in Oakland in the early 70s, trying to figure myself out as a Black person, as a gay person, not really having many labels for some of those things, that I too had an agenda, especially as I was discovering myself And especially as a gay person, what was my agenda? And I think my agenda at the time, just because of the rhetoric of that time, was actually it was about survival and not being seen or found out. That I've got to keep this a secret, keep my gay identity a secret. That was my agenda for a lot of years, especially in my younger years. One just, as a very young boy having attraction to other boys, again, not knowing what that was exactly, but knew somewhere deep inside of me that was wrong, air quotes, right? And so I had to keep that a secret. And so that became my agenda, for a very long time.
To be stealth.
Yeah, yeah. And we've talked about this a little bit, like even before coming out, and I was very careful of how I spoke, what words I used, what words I didn't use, how my body would be, like making sure I didn't have the limp wrist, look or anything like that. And fall for some, there's like these little jokes too in grammar school about do your hand like this and do your hand like this, like, oh, you're a faggot, just little things like that, just so very careful. That was my agenda. And I'm sure other folks probably had their own personal agenda that they had to abide by just to survive and get through. Does that resonate with you at all?
No. Well, I mean, my consciousness of I remember in the 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
And this is how I remember it. I was a little 6th grader. So how old are you in 6th grade?
I can't remember.
11 maybe? 11 or 12?
Yeah, maybe a little younger.
Or okay, maybe younger.
Yeah.
But our school for 6th grade, we have this week-long camp. And we lived in this little dormitory. And I remember having a crush on little David Shaw.
Oh, okay, David.
And I remember him running into the bathroom naked.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, girl. That started my agenda.
Right?
But I remember thinking, oh, and then immediately knowing that I needed to like hide that, suppress it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I took the easy path. I went into the military. And at that time, they asked you during the military process, have you ever been or are you identifying as a homosexual?
Oh, wow.
And I really wanted to get into the military. And I just remember the dilemma of just saying, no. And so the military was a really intense time for me to be stealth. And then I got very active in the Mormon church, which then just powered that.
Yeah.
Then I went on a mission. Then I got married, right? And the agenda through that whole time was not only to repress my sense of identity, but to cure it, to change it.
Wow.
I tell this story, I'm pretty public about it, but at one point I read some kind of lecture from a church leader that said that fasting could take away anything. And so I fasted for 3 years.
Wow.
When I discharged from the military, I discharged at 123 pounds.
Oh my goodness, you blew away in the wind.
Yeah. Well, I got my last year, I got reassigned to a desk job because I kept passing out.
Wow.
And of course they all thought I was anorexic. And my agenda was I'm committed to this fast.
Wow.
And then so then when I ended my marriage, when I came out, there was a period of just complete confusion because so much of my life had been committed to the cure that I didn't know what to become or how to become it. Fast forward, 100 years. And it's like, so what's the agenda today? And I think there's a personal agenda, but I think as someone who's been communally active and even with Mindfully Gay, what I've learned from these Indigenous elders and teachers is about the sacredness of who we are.
Yes.
The magic parts of who we are. Mm-hmm. And so my agenda today, if someone said, what is your agenda today? And that is, I want people to be introduced to this concept of who they are, to not see it as a deficit, but to see it as a profound magical gift and magic and power and medicine, not only for themselves, but for others.
Right.
I haven't figured out world domination yet, but that would be
that'd be a piece of it.
that would be my agenda now.
Right. I mean, what a flip of the script. I mean, I'm really imagining you with like a document that was your personal agenda, and you lived by that script, that document for all those years, and at some point, you put it in the shredder. And had to write a whole new document.
Well, there was a point, because I remember, so I came out to my wife, and we tried to make it work for like a year, and we just realized the cat was out of the bag.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to the church and telling the bishop, don't contact me. I don't want nothing to do with the church any longer. I'm done. And I remember walking home from that feeling incredibly liberated.
Wow.
When I anticipated, I just, the way you're indoctrinated in Mormonism is that when you're not in compliance with Mormonism, then you lose all your spirit gifts, right? And I remember walking home feeling liberated. And if anything, I felt this really strong spiritual confirmation that this was the path I needed to be on.
Right.
And so the thing I put in the shredder was no more apologies, no more. I feel like as gay people, like we're always kind of seeing ourselves at the crux of our families would be destroyed, or mom and dad would die, I mean, I hear that in my office. If I told my parents I was gay, it would kill them. It's like, wow, really? Those are some powerful words. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you added that to a prayer. Right? Yeah. And so for me, I put in the shredder this idea of being a second-class citizen, of being unworthy of existence.
Yeah.
And the therapy I participated in, the mentorships I was involved in, all of those things aligned themselves with me kind of tapping into that magic.
Yeah.
And so, it did go into the shredder. Mm-hmm. And today, 100 years later, I think about that young Mormon kid, that young Mormon missionary, and I appreciate what those things brought into my life. Yeah. But I don't even know who that person is anymore.
Right. Exactly. I hear you on that.
Yeah, like who is that?
Mm-hmm.
I want those years back.
I mean, I bet some of our listeners can really relate to that in your story, because not only was there this gay agenda that was being put upon us, from the outside, we're also walking into this space with our own narratives. And if it was a narrative like that, or an agenda like that, and I think those two actually, they're synonymous: gay agenda, personal stories and narratives, right?
Yeah.
And if you're walking around with those two agendas, that's some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, think about, oh dang, I just lost my thought. You keep talking.
Okay. and so as we kind of look at the topic now, what is the gay agenda? What is your gay agenda? Which is also saying, what's your new narrative, or what's the narrative, the story that you now want to tell about yourself and to put out there? That's that image of me seeing you take that document and putting it into the shredder and going back to the drawing board and I'm rewriting this script.
Do you know one thing, and this might ruffle some feathers with any of our straight listeners, but I want to put this out here. You know, when I was teaching diversity issues at the University of Utah, the students that struggled the most in those conversations were the ones that had the most privilege, right? They just couldn't grasp.
Yeah.
And part of that is because the power of privilege, when you're part of the majority, when you have the power of privilege, you don't have to consider other narratives, or the world kind of caters to your privilege.
Yeah.
And I think the gift of coming out is it is a very deliberate act. You and I, as we were coming out, had to really contemplate the implications. We had to calculate and consider. We had to try to envision our lives outside of the privileges that we were trying to gain.
Yes.
And that is a layer of consciousness that is not terribly accessible for those who carry a lot of privilege. And I think the gift, every gay person I know has gone through that process to some degree or another.
Yes.
Now, some are pretty dismissive of it, but I think for the most part, I know when I work with clients, sometimes it'll take months of contemplation and consideration, right? And instead of kind of labeling that as a chore, I like to label that as the gift.
Yeah.
Because when you step through that, that work doesn't stop. But now you've been practiced and you know how to engage it. And I think consequently, I think that's why gay people are a lot more accessible in relationships with people across differences. Is because we share that process of having evolved in our consciousness about the essence of our identity.
Absolutely. Because in part of that calculation, that time spent in just kind of figuring things out, not only are you really examining what's happening inside of you, but you're also examining the world around you, the people, how it's going to impact yourself and the people in the world around you. There's so much introspection and extrospection. Is that a word?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there we go. That I think the outcome is it becomes a gift of, I think, deeper compassion and empathy and awareness, not only of self, but of others, right? And I think, I think that would certainly be a line or two or three in the new gay agenda.
Right. Now, what I wish we would do with that magical introspection is, I wish we would apply it towards each other.
Oh. We've talked about this. Like, why aren't we kind to each other?
Just be nice.
Just be nice. Yeah. I mean, and what do you mean? Just kind of picking at that a little bit. Why are we kind of nasty and catty and with one another? Do you think it's remnants of gay agenda stuff, old story stuff? What is that?
I think we're too easily seduced by cliches. I think we are too busy trying to live up to stereotypical kinds of norms that we think, we're really good at naming twinks and bears and femmes and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, how about human? But I think the other piece of it is, I think at the root of privilege, and when you see people with the privilege having angst about they're taking our jobs, or right, right, it comes from this scarcity mindset. It comes from the idea that there isn't enough to share. And so you're taking my jobs, that I would never apply for those jobs, but you're taking them. Right? At the root of that is you're taking something that should be mine. And I think sometimes I feel like there's this weird competition to be popular, to have all the friends, to have the community, and I think there's enough to go around.
Plenty.
There's plenty of us that we can be nice to each other, and connect with each other, and not necessarily be in some kind of competition with each other.
Right.
I don't know, maybe that's a stretch, but I also think in the absence of dialogue, and Grinder and Scruff do not count as dialogue, right? That in the absence of dialogue, of real honest to goodness connected processes with each other, and we've seen this at the retreat, when people come together, their whole demeanor and how they engage with each other changes dramatically.
It does.
Because now they're hearing each other's stories, and they're hearing each other's struggles, and they're finding where there's common ground.
Right.
And so I think in the absence of heartfelt dialogue with each other, we're still stuck in the party.
Right. Yeah. Conversation, dialogue, so important because it enriches the relationship between and among people, right? You'll find the commonalities, you find the relationships, what you relate to is like, oh, that happened to you, that happened to me. And you have something that's in common and you can build upon and share and support and love, all, can grow from all of that.
Do you know, you, and there's a couple other people in my life that I think of as brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about how many times have I called you and said, "Can I ask you this question?"
Yeah.
Where and it's a bit vulnerable sometimes. I had a conversation yesterday with a friend who I think of as a brother, and I had a question about sexual performance that I would not talk to anyone about.
Right.
But I was asking a really heartfelt question because I trust this person as my brother. And we had a really interesting dialogue about it that, to me, builds that connective sense of intimacy.
Yeah.
That is not sexual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're starting to build the agenda. We've already touched on things. The agenda of connection, the agenda of intimacy, the agenda of dialogue. I mean, these are the
knowing ourselves.
Yes, the agenda of knowing yourself, knowing the agenda of authenticity. These are the bold topic points, highlights of this new document of what the gay agenda is.
Let me pull this in here, and I think like this idea of an agenda, why it becomes maybe a little threatening. In the history of our country, in the 50s, psychedelia was being discovered, right? And we were learning about the value of psychedelia. And if you think about it, this is kind of like as the hippie movement is starting to happen. Now we're in the Nixon administration. And they want to shut all that down.
Yes.
And part of it was, we can't have these enlightened people because they're hard to control. They are hard to manage. And what we ultimately need as a government is control of the masses. Religion is about controlling and managing the masses. But at the root of it was the anxiety of people getting too enlightened. And think about the conversation we just had about coming out.
Yeah.
Gay people, I think we talked about this last week in the podcast too, right? Like, we celebrate our sexuality. We embrace it. We explore it. We are everywhere with it. Literally. Excuse me. And I sometimes wonder if the light and the magic that we carry, the enlightenment that comes in our process of walking our truths, that must be very threatening because we don't fit into a religious control model. Politically, they're trying to marginalize us.
Yep.
Right? look at all the way that these forces are trying to contain us. And guess what? We don't go away.
We don't go away. We're still here. Still here.
And I sometimes, when I say my agenda is what happens as we help enlighten gay men and ourselves, right? Is what happens when we take that, when we turn that up a notch,
Mm-hmm.
when we really step into our metaphoric role as medicine people to our societies. I mean, how many people turn to their gay friend to get advice?
Yes.
Or insight,
Mm-hmm.
or dialogue.
Yep.
Because I think there's a lot of people outside of our community are hungry for what we have.
For what we have and what we're able to do. The abilities, the magic, the power, the medicine that we hold, whether you know it or not. We are attractive.
Mm-hmm.
We are a light, and people are attracted to this light. I think you're spot on with the hippie movement, civil rights, women movement, all of it, because here's this, I'm using my hands like this little blob of normalcy, air quotes, and then here's this spectrum of people of whatever source it might be, might have been women or gay people or black people, etc., finding and seeing their own light and starting to expand it.
Oof.
That's the enlightenment, right? Yeah. They see that what they have and hold, maybe not consciously, cannot be contained. It needs to be expounded, and so they share it. They put it out there, and like you said, it's a threat, or people see it as threatening. Like, what's that bright light over there? Mm-hmm. That doesn't fit our blob. Yeah. That doesn't fit into this spectrum of things. And so when that light gets brighter and louder, it shifts things.
What do our parents say when they first learn that we're gay? What will the neighbors think?
I got that. I totally got that.
What would the neighbors think?
Yep.
Right? And by default, what we're saying is we don't collude with how other people might see us. We're going to choose to be our own music.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And when you choose that, oh my gosh, I'm getting chills and they get emotional around it. Because when you choose that, that no way, don't put me in a box. Mm-hmm. When you choose that and just be your authentic self, your magic is just saying, okay, here we go. That pathway,
do they just snap fingers too?
Yes, they do. And it's sparkly, it's diamonds, you're brilliant. You become brilliant, and you feel that, you can sense that, and your pathway just opens up. And then when you can walk that path, oh my gosh, you see the world differently. You interact in the world very differently. People are going to see you very differently. Yes, people are going to be, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, they'll be threatened. They'll be afraid of you, but you won't react to that. It's just like, well, that's them. I'm me, and I'm doing my thing.
Yeah,
and just living your life. That's the gay agenda. Live your life.
Do not share this with Donald.
He would not get it anyway.
Or he would want to put gold leaf on it. Yeah, so one of the things that we talked about was how do we create the personal gay agenda?
Mm-hmm.
And can I look at the questions?
Yeah.
I thought they were such great questions.
Yeah. And in kind of putting this together, it's in a way the gay agenda, or an agenda, really kind of incorporates the things that we've talked about throughout this podcast history. What are some of those questions?
Your personal gay agenda. Seems like there was some up. What was your personal? How has that evolved? Okay, we already talked about all that. But how do we move from external validation to internal alignment?
Oh. Say that again.
How do we move from external validation,
Mm-hmm.
right, what the neighbors would think,
what the neighbors would think,
to internal alignment?
And
then these were some questions that I thought were interesting. There's only 3 of them here. Maybe we should just break them down one by one.
Yeah, sure.
So the first question is, what am I really seeking?
Wow.
Healthy retirement.
Financial abundance.
Health insurance I can afford. But in terms of, I mean, I think these are questions that are so important, because I know when I meet with people, it's interesting when I ask these type of questions, people like seriously pause.
Yeah.
Because they're not things that they've thought about. And so it's like, so I'm sitting here today as a 61-year-old white gay male who's been out since they were about 27, visibly publicly out.
Yeah.
And today, what am I seeking for myself? I'm not even going to talk about communally. I think for myself is I'm seeking absolute permission. I'm seeking radical self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Like there's still part, like the conversation I had with my friend yesterday, part of it was I had some doubt or some anxiety about how I was showing up in a particular way. And it was helpful to talk to a friend and get some reflection back and forth.
Yeah.
Obviously, a shared concern that we had both evolved to individually. But I think at the root of it was some sense of assurance or radical self-acceptance that what I wanted, what I was seeking, what I was engaged with was absolutely legitimate. Yeah. And worthy of exploration.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I could think about that spiritually. I could think about that relationally. I could think about that emotionally, intellectually. But if I were compartmentalizing it, I would put it in that space of.
Yeah, I like that. And I really like, because it's such a profound question. It does make you pause, because it's a question you probably have never asked yourself or have been asked. And have you really thought about it? Have you really thought about it? Are you, certainly, the aspect of just being in the present moment, and that's something we teach in yoga and that kind of thing. And that's good. And, but why, I even expand it like, well, why are you here? What's your purpose? And we've asked this question to one another, like, what would your world be like? What would you be like if this, whatever, fill in the blank, didn't exist? And for me, it's fear.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, and that's what I thought of as you were talking and answering this question. My mother will often say to me, "John, you're so brave." And I almost have a bit of an emotional reaction to that, because I don't see myself like that fully. Maybe not in the same way that she sees me as brave, because I still feel stifled at times by fear, and that fear really, I think, stems from what I talked about. Being that young Black gay kid trying to just figure himself out, and my personal agenda at that, at age 5, 6, 7, or 8, was don't tell anybody, don't get found out, keep it a secret, hold it in tight. And so the fear of being found out, I think, has just kind of been this little thread throughout my entire life. And to be rid of that, I feel like I really could step into that bravery that I think my mother really sees, and to move in a way and around the world where things didn't affect me in a way where I felt like I had to hide or shun or make myself small or shift in some kind of way just to conform in the place that I'm in, that I can just be me. That would be, that's who I want to be. That's what I want to be as part of my personal agenda.
Yeah. I did a presentation yesterday. I often do presentations talking about westernized ideas of health versus, what I've learned through the indigenous folks.
Right, yeah.
And it was interesting. One of the assessment questions I put out there is, who would you be without your fear?
Yeah.
Like, in the absence of fear, what would be in its place?
Right.
And this idea of fear is incredibly woven into our cultural experience. Listen to the news. Listen to your politicians.
My.
Right? I mean, no, Donald Trump is a champion at amplifying the voices of fear, right? Because we're talking about immigrants who are criminals, who are rapists, who are this, right? And now what he's trying to do is fuel the notion of fear.
Yeah.
Right? What would life look like in the absence of fear? And sometimes in the absence of fear is the place of absolute permission.
Absolute permission. Love that. I love that aspect. Because then there's no apologies.
Yeah.
Right? You can just be. Be without permission. Oh, what's another question?
Well, I lost it.
But that's something to really, listeners out there, just, ponder some of these things.
Where am I still performing?
Gosh.
On a podcast.
I mean, talk about, for me, it seems like everywhere in some way.
Do you know, I've become very conscious through working with plant medicines and other parts that there's always this inner critic.
Yeah.
And the other day I was running a ceremony and I became we're working with plants, but I thought as I was doing and working, I kept hearing the inner critic. And then at this presentation I gave yesterday, I could hear the inner critic, right? And when I hear the inner critic, right, it's not always congruent with how I'm showing up.
Yeah.
Like if you were watching me in this talk yesterday, if you were watching me in ceremony, well, I've let you see the inner critic in ceremony, but I know that there is a part of me that is kind of marginalizing the critic, which is probably a healthy thing, right? But I've just kind of learned to be dismissive, you're an old story.
Yeah.
But then I'm also very conscious that I think a lot of times we see people in the middle of their performance and they look great. And then we just cast the story that they must have it all together. Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about some of my friends who do porn and they create beautiful porn. And yet I know that there's challenges to that. But as the observer, you don't see it. Right? You see the performance. And sometimes I know I catch myself often judging myself against the performance. And I'm not even sure what it would look like to not be performing.
I know I'm struggling a little bit too, because I can certainly relate to that, because I think the way that I show up in the world, at least what I think people are seeing, is like this very confident John that's kind of doing his thing, and he's, he eats healthy and he works out and he's doing all these things in his life, and
I've seen the bacon burgers
and
the muffins.
And so they just think, wow, he's got it together. And meanwhile, I'm over here struggling with whatever, my little fears and demons and all of that. But so I'm aware of that, and I think another piece is, and I think you're very aware of this too. You know the critical voice. You know what it sounds like when it shows up, and even like doing your presentation yesterday, it was like, oh, there's the critical voice, but knowing how to set it aside. Like, you're an old story. You don't need to show up for me right now because I don't need you right now. So I'm going to put you over here so I can do what I need to do. And I think it does take a lot of awareness, of self-awareness, to be able to do that. And it does take practice, and it takes time to do that. And I feel like I can do that too. Um, a quick little side note: I did a yoga retreat recently, and one of the exercises, it certainly relates to this. It's called Big Mind or Big Heart, which is a Zen Buddhist practice that's been highly westernized and can be used. I've used it in yoga therapy, in psychotherapy, and even just dialogues with people. But really, the idea is to, and we've kind of done it too, just become the voice of the critic, become the voice of fear, and let it have a voice and speak. Like, what's your role? What's your job? How do you help Jerry? Why do you show up? Why did you show up yesterday in that presentation for Jerry? What was your role? What's your relationship with Jerry? Is it still meaningful? Because maybe you showed up at a point where it was very helpful, but are you still helpful? And so we did this at my retreat, and some of the revelations were quite remarkable. I remember one participant had a revelation as she was speaking to one of her voices, realized, I don't need that voice anymore, and said, I'm going to retire that voice. I don't, you're out of a job. And so I think it takes some introspection and some work, some practice, some exercises of something like that in order to do this, in order to rewrite your script, in order to write your agenda. Who do you want to be?
Well, and I think the other side of that, right? You talked about introspection.
Yeah.
I think in the lack of introspection, right? People who maybe aren't practiced at creating some sense of mindfulness, what it then starts to look like is, oh, I just hate gay people, or they don't like me, or they don't like fat people, or they don't like old people, or right. We want to project that the problem is, if I could just fix the world around me, that I could feel comfortable. Versus if I learn radical self-acceptance, if I learn to tame the voices, then I have to take personal responsibility for my lived experience.
Yes. It does get reinforced. The other thing that you said, it gets reinforced that we put the blame, we point the finger out. Like, well, it's their fault that I do this, or if they didn't do that, I wouldn't act this way, or whatever it is. We do a lot of finger pointing, and I think in our culture and media really reinforces that. And it really does take questions like this to make you pause, really pause, and start to wonder, so you can get some new synapses firing up to start making those shifts.
Yeah. When I hear people casting narratives about them, I'll often say, it's interesting, as a gay man, I hear what you're saying, but that hasn't been my experience. I've met people who are like that, but I don't make an assumption that the entire community is like that.
Right.
Yeah. Then this last question: what would a more mindful, aligned life look like for me? Quickly, we're out of time.
Still, it just brings you to pause, but it still kind of comes back to,
what would a more mindful, aligned life look like for me?
I feel like I'm I'm on that journey already. I feel like I'm mindful enough that I'm aware of the critical voice, the fearful voice, and I can do what I need to do with them, either have a conversation with them or whatever it is. But I am thinking about folks who may not have that same level of introspection and mindfulness, that they're, I don't know, just maybe just you're listening to this podcast or sitting down with a friend, a person, a colleague, in getting deep with some of these things. Ask some tough questions. Uh, Begin to shift the narrative, or ponder the notion that there might be a different perspective on things.
I've kind of been thinking about this, and I'm 61. I've been on this particular journey for 30 some odd years. And I would say I feel like I finally have reached a space in my life where I feel like the synchronicity and the alignment is there. But then I'm thinking about people who are, I have a couple of clients in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s. And I think the gift of being at this point in my life is finally hitting that space.
Mm-hmm.
I loved my 40s. And I was very conscious that my 40s kind of felt like I feel like I have finally found the rhythm or the cadence that I'm looking for. And even though I've had some bumpy spots in my life in the last 20 years, there's a peacefulness that comes, like there's a root. And for me, that root is the spirituality, the mindfulness, the consciousness. Certainly the last, I'll just say 5 years, but I think it's been shorter than that. Like I've kind of reclaimed my body. I've reclaimed my sexuality. I've reclaimed my eldership. And so I think there's something about, like, as long as I've known you, you've been very disciplined and practiced around your practices. And not saying that our practices are the solutions, but they are an anchor. It's a point of reference that facilitates that consciousness. And I think we're practiced at a place where we can own it.
We can, I have to agree. I and I acknowledge the fact for both of us that it's been an evolution. It's not just kind of set in stone, like you get it and then that's it. But I think we were able to both acknowledge that it's been a continuous acknowledgement and shifting and molding and really refining, where you are right now, knowing that it's going to continue to be refined. You'll be able to really settle into your mentorship call and the really stepping into your radical self-acceptance, etc. And I think we were fortunate enough to get glimpses of it and start those practices early on, and continue with those disciplines. Because yes, I feel very disciplined in what I do, and it's a wonderful anchor. It does kind of gets me grounded when I need that grounding again. And also knowing, especially in my yoga teaching practice, and I do see my teaching as a practice. It's not just this thing that I do.
Exercise.
It's just not this exercise. It's a practice. Just as my students are practicing yoga, I'm practicing yoga as well as a teacher. And so I can feel myself growing and shifting in how I teach, what's being channeled through me as an instructor. When I'm teaching my students, I'm also teaching myself. And so you can have a discipline, but that too doesn't have to be set in stone. It can be something that's malleable, that does shift as you shift. Because I'm going back to that document of your gay agenda. I don't know, write it in pencil because it's going to change. And
Well,
in a shift, you'll be adding on to it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the suggestions that we talked about is what would a personal gay agenda look like? And as you were talking, right, between the yoga, the spirituality, right, exercising, diet, and I thought, all these pieces are coming together, and when you look at the concept of the medicine wheel, right, it includes mental, physical, social, emotional. Now, I always add in there the concept of spiritual.
Yeah.
Now, in indigenous mindsets, and right, everything is in a spiritual context.
Yeah.
But for the Muggles, we have to help them out, so we stick in spiritual.
Yeah.
But imagine if I were considering my agenda for myself, and I was thinking about the physical part of my life. If I were thinking about the emotional part of my life, or the mental, or the social, or the spiritual, right? And like you said, put it in pencil, or just leave yourself enough room to keep adding things, because it will morph and it will change.
Yes.
And but I think that platform of the physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual could be a really helpful template for people to explore.
I really like that. That's a really good place.
One note we had in here is, first of all, the gay agenda isn't a collective conspiracy, but then this other one, it's a personal commitment to living fully, truthfully, and consciously. And that's the agenda. And frankly, we can overtake the world because we know how to make it fabulous. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to have suds machines and bubble machines and flags.
All of it. Oh my gosh.
Only because we wrote out our personal agenda.
Yeah. So go out there and reclaim the gay agenda. It's, rather than seeing it as something that's coming from the outside as a way of threatening and minimizing who we are, but to claim it as a powerful resource that you get to write and construct and put out there into the world.
Yeah.
Because that's what is going to change the world.
Yeah, and the world changes when we change.
Yes.
So, well, this was invigorating.
It was invigorating. I'm feeling quite alive at the moment.
This has been on our list for a while, and I keep thinking, the gay agenda. I want to talk about the gay agenda. But somehow we did it.
and we reclaimed it, It was one of those topics that's just been on the list, our topic list for a long time, just been sitting there. And it just something just resonated.
Well, and I think this is when we should announce our candidacy for the 2028 election.
There we go. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to be first lady.
No, I'm going to be first lady.
Write your own agenda.
Okay.
But thanks for listening to us. You can find Mindfully Gay at mindfullygay.com. We're on Facebook with that name. We're on TikTok with that name. Instagram is mindfully_gay. Please, if you're listening to anything on any of those platforms, like it, love it, or not. Leave a comment. We would just love to see our algorithms expand. And so please actively participate. And we love the comments.
Yes.
I was just telling John, we've changed some of our internet platforming and contacting people. And I didn't think anyone noticed, but I've had like 2 or 3 people contact me saying, hey, I'm not getting my information.
Yeah, where's my email?
But if you'd let us know you were there, that would be helpful.
Yes. So thanks for reaching out. And, at the time of this recording, it's the beginning of spring, but at the time you see this, it's somewhere, probably summertime by now. So do look at our website, mindfullygay.com, because you'll see a calendar of events. We should have some lovely weather. There's going to be some hiking and some other social events that's coming our way, and want you to be involved if you like to be involved in what we're doing.
Yeah. So till next time, be mindfully gay.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Mindfully Gay podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. This way you won't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes, where we continue to explore fascinating topics and share meaningful stories. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next episode.